Okay, I'm back. See if we can do that this next flake in the same way to get rid of those steps on the edge. I had a feeling I'm not going to be able to because I can already see I don't have much edge to work with. It's not really beveled very well there. See that? It kind of, the edge is not there. It's not a good bevel like right here. See how it goes from the center line edge there to below center line here. That's just the way the randomness of the stone, the way I was preforming it, ended up being like that. So I barely have anything below center line there. So I'm gonna have to catch both the edge and the front of that step when I push off. So wish me luck there. I'll scratch it back a little bit so I can get closer to the step fracture. Yeah, what happened there was I didn't have any success on the edge, but when I hit the step fracture, it popped off the top of that step, just by catching it with the flaker. So let's see if we have a better attempt down a little further, because I'm not going to go back to that same area and press off on it again. I'm going to go down a little further. Yeah, that one's same deal. Why am I making such a big deal out of this? Because this is what really challenges me. For some reason, step fractures near the tip are my last frontier. I've spent an entire year trying to figure out how to get rid of steps in this area, but I still haven't figured out how to get rid of steps in this area. At least not easily, and at least not with some sort of tried and true technique. I've just got to attack it differently each time depending on the situation, and it gets rather old. I'd rather have a strategy. I still don't know what that is yet, other than just creating a continuous platform and be very careful with the edges around the tip from the very beginning. Okay. So there you go. I'm not going to mess with the tip much more than that, maybe to put tiny, teeny serrations on it, but it's pretty much done. So now I can continue. As long as I don't snap off the tip, I'm in good shape. See, I was pushing into the glove. I'm pushing down on this, and the tip is pushing into the glove, so that's not a good thing. So I got to figure out how to hold this so that I got to put a really inordinate amount of pressure on this raw stone, right? So it just kind of pushes everything inward, and since the leather is so spongy, it pushes in a lot. Yeah, and if I don't use a lot of pressure, it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, so that's what I want. That flake, it broke there, but it continued to there. That's what I want, but you saw how much it pushed into the pad or the roll for that particular flake. Why don't you just get stiffer leather? Yeah, I probably should, right? What about the arrowheads that are not raw? Do I get a softer leather for those, and then different rolls for different stones? Oh yeah, do that. Yeah, but it's my toolbox, and if I'm looking at 5 different rolls of 5 different consistencies, I'm gonna have to label each one. Maybe on a grade of 1 to 10, right? And that would be cool, huh? No. I would not want that. The fewer the tools, the better. The more versatile each tool, the better. The more compact each tool, the better. That's my goal as far as the tools go. The easier they are to make, the better. And the less time I got to spend on them, the better. Well, the tools make the craftsman, right? So if you want to be a good craftsman, you got to have good tools. Obviously, you don't want to be a good craftsman. That's right, I don't. So leave me alone. You figured me out. I'm just here to trigger people and put them to sleep. One or the other. Leave me alone. Okay. Now, I see some thick spots. I'm going back to thin that down. Not that I really have to, but I'm doing it for the video. Okay. It's working out okay. We'll see what happens. As long as I don't create an island. That step is worrying me right here. I might create an island, but I want to see what happens when I push. When I push my luck, I want to see if I can blow through that. Nope. Yeah, I was not able to blow through the step, but I wanted to see if I could. I really didn't prepare the platform that much either. I probably could have blown through that step if I had prepared the platform better. That's my story. But it still works as a hunting point. It's not for display. Okay, so final finishing pass. It's good to leave it a little bit wide. That way you can resharpen it later. Just like they did back in the day. I'm evening out the base so I can just say that so I can feel like that's pretty much done and I can focus on the edges. I like an even thickness all the way around, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously. But those things bug me when it's not even all the way around. It just looks weird to me. Okay, so bevel it a little bit for this next pass. One more pass on that side. I'm not going to grind it this time because I want it to be sharp. Okay. So I'm just going to pick at the edge or scratch the edge before I do a flake in the area that I'm going to run a flake. So in theory, it'll keep the edge sharp. And that one took a bite out of the edge. Let's see. Yeah, I'm afraid of snapping this thing. But if I don't put a lot of pressure, these flakes are not traveling. Gotta be aggressive. Especially with a raw stone. Decrease the amount of pressure as you're going upward, because if you don't, you know what happens. Snap off the poor tip. The poor little tip. You have to have pity on the little weak tip. Or have mercy on it. But then sometimes it laughs at you and says, "Ha, you didn't put enough pressure on it, so you ended up with a step, didn't you?" Yep, yep, yep. I'm just trying to clean up areas that look crushed. And I think some of that has to do with the tip not being sharp enough on the flaker. Okay. All right, I'll clean this edge up so it's not as jagged. Just push on it a little bit. Little bitty flakes. I can barely see that. Now, why wasn't I using this from the start? Because it's so much easier to see. It's because the soft pad allows flakes to travel without stopping. It doesn't interfere with the flakes. This hard pad will interfere with the flakes, I found out. I mean, sometimes I don't want to admit it to myself that the hard pad is interfering, but it does interfere. I wish it didn't, because then I could use the black background to my advantage. Oh well. Okay, so it's good as is as a hunting point. Most of my hunting points are just simple triangles, right? This is my pattern for my generic hunting point, made out of stone or obsidian. I used this one here because it is part of a set, and I like the size of this point. It's a 40 grain even. Now I don't know if this other one's 40 grain. Let's see. It's usually very consistent if you have the same dimensions. This one's actually 50. So this particular rock is lighter in general than this other one, even though it seems to be a bit thicker. It is a bit smaller though, right? All the way around. Yeah. So that could make a difference. It's a bit smaller all the way around. This one is. But that's a big difference, 10 grains. So this particular stone must be heavier than the other one. Okay. So what is this one? This is West Texas Chert. It's very porous. This is Central Texas Chert, not very porous. So that could mean, I just realized this one is more porous. So that's probably the reason. Okay. Put some notches, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do though. It doesn't need notches, but I've got time on the video, so let's see what I'm going to do. Could make a barbed and tanged looking thing. Some low side notches. Yeah, let's do some low side notches. I don't want to do a barbed and tanged on this one. It takes too long. Sweet. These common nails are nice. Nice for pressure flakers. This is a common nail. I don't know if it's a 6D or what. Probably. One of these days I'll write down what I use. It's stalling right away because it's a raw stone. Yeah, and I don't want to push it. I don't want to push the limits too much. I could just power into that notch and try to blow it out. And then, oh well, if I break it. But since the camera is rolling, see, what I don't like is the unreleased flake at the bottom of the notch. I usually try to pop those out. If possible. But raw stone is notorious for that. Notorious for those unreleased flakes. Why don't you just use a file? Use a file assistance. Yeah, I could use a, what does that mean? I could use a diamond file to assist me in the bottom of that notch to make it easier by beveling with the file so that I could push off a flake more easily. And I'll get that later. All right, so I'm closing in on being able to pop out that unreleased flake. Now, why didn't you use this flaker from the beginning? It's because it wears down fast, and I like the other one too. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that on that side. Now let me expand it a little bit. Now, don't those notches interfere with the penetration? Yes, they do. But sometimes it makes the difference between losing your arrowhead and not. If you got a wrapping around it, less likely to lose the arrowhead in the wound. Now, if you want to lose the arrowhead in the wound, then it don't matter. Looks like I'll have to change the shape of the notches, huh? Okay, scouring time. Or something similar. See, you should have used that little pick instead of the aggressive spatula tool. Yeah, you're probably right on that one. I still like the aggressive spatula tool. Now keep in mind, I could have stopped earlier. But I still got some time to show a different technique. This raw stone really is showing its strength because it's fighting me the whole way on these notches. Could ask me, what are you doing there? I'm trying to do an upsweeping notch, but I'm going to give up. Of course, the Native Americans they like those upsweeping notches. It's because of the hafting, because of the bindings, I think. That's my theory. The bindings hold it better with an upsweeping notch, but it also makes it extremely difficult to finish out the point. Now, in some states, you can't have these types of arrowheads. They have to be barbless and notchless and no serrations. I'm not sure which states they are because it keeps changing. The rules change. I think I just blew off some of that barb. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so a little bit off the ear and it looks like nothing happened. Let's see. A real scalorn has a much more narrow neck. But I'm going to leave it like this. Just because ensors look like this. Or something similar. Not that I have to imitate anything in particular. But if it was used in the past, it's probably an effective design. Okay, I just took that edge back just to match up with that barb. I blew off part of that barb there, so I can't see. So there goes. Raw stone. Pain in the butt. But I like the way it turned out. Let's see. See if I can eliminate that little step right there that didn't release. Voila. Looks like there's another step on this side. Yep. Kind of funny looking. Still got time, right? Let me do a little bit more modification on this. I think it looks a little funny, so I'm going to straighten out that base. Still looks a little funny. It's because these barbs are so long. I mean, these ears are so long. I don't know. Hmm. 28 minutes. Shouldn't be doing the full length because these take forever to upload from my phone. But oh well. Yeah, good enough. It just looked thick right there. That's why I did this. It's best to have a thin edge all the way down so it'll be nice and sharp. Okay, that's good enough. I just looked at the clock and we're out of time. Where is my foreshaft? Yeah, fits on the smaller one too. Okay, beauty. Yeah, either one. Okay. Okay, raw stone hunting point. Okay.